So this is the Ableton session, and I'm trying to remember how I started this track off. I remember with this track, I started messing around with a piano sample. And so this is the piano sample. So this beat is another like super simple beat. The approach I took with this one, I don't even think this one has a kick drum. I connected with it and I just wanted to chop it up. So I chopped that piano melody. I remember that day I was making just a bunch of beats, and this was one I just kind of like made real quick. And instead of using a kick drum, I wanted to mess with the 808 as the kick. So this is the 808. And with the piano. So you can already hear like that piano with that 808 is like the majority of the beat. Oh, and someone asked, add that to volume 9. So volume 9, Drums That Knock volume 9 is out, and that 808 is in Drums That Knock volume 9. Then the rim shot is what keeps the bounce going. This is in Drums That Knock volume 9 too. So like from there, what I really did was, and this is what I do in a lot of my tracks, like when the core beat idea is already done, I just went in and added little percussion fills. So that's kind of like the way I upgraded the bounce. So let's listen to them in the order I put them in. So like we got this little sound here. Just like a little clack. And then we got this one. Just kind of glues the bounce together. Shaker. Conga. Another clack. Little open hat that comes in. After the 808s come out, then I'm adding the hi-hat. And then I just have this one sound that comes in twice in the beat. I just looked at the chat. Superhot said, I call that process the in and out, 100%. That day, it was just like knocking out beats, sending them out, see what happens, not caring if the beat is good or bad, just knocking out a beat. So, I mean, that's essentially the entire beat. It probably took me 10, 15 minutes to make that beat. I texted Locksmith the beat, and immediately he was just like, yo, that's that shit. I love it. So he cut the record at his crib, and he sent it back to me, and I brought it into Pro Tools. So from Pro Tools, that's where I did all the tweaks in the beat, mixed the vocals and everything.
DECAP.
Yo. Look, I've been behaving like I'm in a haven, like I'm isolating myself as a choice. I kept my distance away from you niggas before this new virus, cause I was annoyed.
Let me show you without the plugins.
Look, I've been behaving like I'm in a haven, like I'm isolating myself as a choice.
So the first step in the chain was a Pro-Q. I cut everything below 157.
I've been behaving like I'm in a haven, like I'm isolating myself as a choice. I kept my distance away.
After that in the chain, I added a 610B with like about 7.5 decibels of gain. And from this plugin, you can see I cut 3 decibels of low and 1.5 of the high. So what I like about the 610 is it just adds a little more color to the signal. Then this is like my favorite compressor lately. It's the CL1B. These are UAD plugins. I love the transparency of this plugin. TubeTech is a tube compressor. And
Look, I've been behaving like I'm in a haven, like
I'm only hitting it about 4 decibels of gain reduction.
Y'all rappers spending more time in your lives than on your verses. I dig through the surface. I purposely put all this weight on my shoulders.
So I'm hitting it at about 10 to 1. All right, and so after that, I add a LA2A.
Look, I've been behaving like I'm in a haven, like I'm isolating myself as a choice. I kept my distance away from you niggas before this new virus because I was annoyed. I contemplated my place in this.
And I'm getting about 5 to 6 decibels of gain reduction on that. And then the last plugin was the de-esser, Pro DS. Sometimes I'll do it manually where I'll actually cut the S's, but on this one I just did the DS.
I contemplated my place in this ploy. I concentrate on the stakes of the void. Y'all rappers spending more time in your lives than on your verses. I dig through the surface. I purposely put all this weight on my shoulders. Rather be fair than wear red as a poster.
For the ad-libs, similar thing. You could see I tried like the distressor and the LA2A, but I didn't even use it. Just a Pro-Q3 and a de-esser on the ad-libs.
Look, I've been behaving like I'm in a haven, like I'm isolating myself as a choice. I kept my distance away from you niggas before this new virus because I was annoyed.
So like you can hear there, the beat drops out.
Before this new virus because I was annoyed.
What I do to get that effect is I'll use this thing in Pro Tools called Verify that just has that effect, like a vinyl stopping effect. I notice other DAWs just don't have that same effect. I find that Pro Tools has the best vinyl stop effect. Lock wanted me to do a lot of drops just to like accentuate the vocals, and I feel like, you know, the beat is already so simple. Like I wanted Locksmith to shine through on the record. There's one vocal track, 2 dub tracks, and that's it. Everything else is just going through buses. Sometimes simplicity is key. A lot of people focus on, you know, doing all this extra shit and little effects and little things, but sometimes just the simple approach is the way to go. On the master on this track, all right, so this is without Gulfoss.
Contemplated my place in this ploy. I concentrate on the stakes of the void. Y'all rappers spending more time in your lives than on your verse.
It's super subtle. I don't even know if it's translating on the stream, but it's just that extra 1 to 15% of that final mastered sound. This is crazy. Literally the only other plugin that's affecting the sound is a Pro-L2, just a limiter. All the default settings, no dither, and I'm doing 8x oversampling.
Contemplated my place in this.
So without the limiter,
Contemplated my place in this ploy. I concentrate on the stakes of the
and then with it.
Y'all rappers spending more time in your lives than on your verses. I dig through the surface. I purposely put all this weight on my shoulders. Rather be.
And if you look at the peaks at the top, I'm only doing a little bit of gain reduction on it. Like I wanted this one to have a lot of dynamics. If you look over here too, it says negative 12.2 LUFS. As you guys know, nowadays we're getting penalized by making the track too loud. I wanted to keep it, you know, in that lower range, so when I upload it to Spotify, they're not turning it way down. So I went for the negative 12 range. So on Spotify, I think it's negative 14, so they're only turning me down by like 2 decibels. I know that some engineers will have a different LUFS for every track. For example, YouTube and iTunes and Spotify all will penalize you in different ways. I actually upload the same mix to every platform except for SoundCloud. SoundCloud, I really just hit that limiter hard because SoundCloud doesn't turn you down at all. The rule of thumb from engineers I talk to is don't aim lower than the platform so they turn you up. Always aim so they'll turn you down a little bit. So I think this negative 12 is a good range, but I mean, honestly, sometimes I'll do something at negative 10, even negative 8. It all depends on the record. The last plugin in the chain that is actually doing any processing is this plugin called Good Dither. It's by GHZ, the company, and this is just so I can export it 24-bit. The reason I use this dither instead of the Pro-L dither is because this one actually has a more a better sounding dither algorithm from what I heard. Okay, so the plugin I was going to show you guys is this plugin, Loudness Penalty. So this plugin is great for engineers, anyone who engineers in here, because when you run your final track through it, it's going to tell you exactly how much you're going to be penalized. YouTube is -1.7, Spotify -2.7. If you hit the preview button and then click on the service, it will show you what your mix is going to sound like. So for the beat, I did some processing to the 808 in the final session. Mainly a little bit of saturation, and then this plugin is amazing. It's a Ozone imager, and I just added a little bit of stereo width just to make that 808 hit super wide.